Get ready to quit the build. The QTB Crew is rounding up all the gaming news and hot topics of the week with a little extra something. And here are your hosts, Bruno, Brad, and Nick.
What it do? You are listening to the QTB podcast. I'm your host, Bruno, and with me are the brothers McMuffins. We got Nick in a Kirby hat, Brad in a Hurley hat, and Brew in a regular hat. What it do?
Oh, man.
Welcome, gents. We are...
Yeah.
The Hats Trio.
The Hats McMuffin. Yeah.
The Hats McMuffin. That's what we are.
Amazing. I mean, look, guys, we've got an absolutely massive episode ahead of us here, episode 120. And I mean, we've been talking GTA news here for a while, GTA rumors, speculation, which is really all you can do when it's been this long since any entry in the GTA franchise, aside from GTA Online updates. We're going to get into that here in just a little while. As always, guys, love to start the podcast with a little bit of that what you've been playing. What you've been playing, and I think anybody that has been in the QTB space knows exactly what I've been playing, and that is a heck of a lot of Fall Guys. Hit it, Bruno. Hit it, because I've been hearing this track. Oh my gosh, it has been an amazing. We launched our live streaming on TikTok. We had done little lives here and there where I said hello to the people, that kind of thing. But we're doing full blown live streams, gaming going on, and I did a couple other games here and there, but the Fall Guys action, I didn't know this until I started the live streams. Someone brought it to my attention that you can do custom lobbies with a Jackbox style code that anybody can hop in. Yeah, exactly. And then it lands on tiptoe and everybody has a bad time. Yeah, that's...
And everyone's okay,
yeah.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Boys.
Mia Khalifa. Oh, man. It's been such a great week, and we have had such an insane amount of support. I mean, hundreds of viewers. We had, at one point, we had 800 consecutive viewers, tons of new people coming in. The QTB as family is definitely joining. I'm loving it. Having a blast, but that's pretty much all I've been playing because my stream game has been strong this week. So shout out to all of my my friends there over on the TikTok side. Shout out to the Berry Gang. Everyone's dressing up in strawberry outfits, and we all get together and we just we run the table. and by run the table, I mean get instantly eliminated in round one. It's fun. Yeah, you got it all, man. Wow, Brad, what do you got going on, man? You've been out and about, right? Man of the world.
I'm back. I'm back. I've been off on a little 2-week hiatus. Thanks for having me back. I was taking care of some things, seeing the world one country at a time, and I got back just in time for the new season of Fortnite. So
where'd you go, Brad?
I was Vive la France. I was in France for
the only reason he asked.
Bonjour.
Baguette. Yeah.
Had that one lined up for how long?
I don't know.
Anyway, I mean, you could equate it like the new season of Fortnite, Paradise, right? Been checking it out with Bruno. We've been playing it. Got our first dub on the first match of the season. Shout out to my boy Bruno, carried us for the win. And first time, I think, Bruno, you got a victory royale on your first match of the season, right? Tell them about it.
Yeah. Wait, our Crown Royale. Yeah, okay. So
Crown Royale, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know too many people who have done this, but your boy grabbed a victory Crown Royale for the very first game, very first win of the season. Was a Crown Royale. Some guy dropped a crown right at the last second. I picked it up and then grabbed the last kill. Boom. I don't think I could ever repeat it again.
Bruh.
It's going to be, that's going to be it. But,
season's downhill from here, right?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It's all downhill from here. It's been pretty sweaty these past couple of days. People are trying to get that new chrome umbrella, which is what the new, everyone's trying to get that.
It's sick,
new
though.
Umbrella.
It's really cool.
I mean, for those of you who don't play Fortnite, they They have a glider umbrella that they give to players every season. When you get your first victory royale, you'll get an umbrella, and it's different. It kind of goes with the theme, so it's always something that we look forward to seeing. But I've been playing a lot of stuff on the sim rig. I've been jamming on some Assetto Corsa, which is just hours and hours of fun. There's so much to do in that game. It really is an amazing game that has stood the test of time. I've got a blog article coming out here soon about it, where you can read it on quitthebuild.com/blog and learn more about why that game, even though it was it was a 2014 game, it's still going strong.
All right, Nick, I got a story for you here because I'm going to make Bruno laugh. He started telling me about this game, this Assetto Corsa, right? And we were talking because we were playing Fortnite actually at the time, and he was rambling on about this for 20 minutes. I didn't realize it was this is how much I know a little about racing, that it was an actual game. To me, it sounded like he was talking about eating a candy, because it sounded like almond roca, like Assetto Corsa. I'm like, oh yeah, you're talking about a Cando, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, and I use my new rig, and yeah, and I'm just like, what? You're going on and on about a piece of candy, and then I realize it's like, no, he's playing a racing game, and just completely blew over my head.
I think it's one of those things where it just depends on the context of like who's hearing it. Because when I first heard it, I thought it was like a sports car. It's like, oh, the brand new 2022 Assetto Corsa. There's a million designer brands of vehicles I've never heard of, so it sounds fast, so I'm sure it is fast. I don't.
And that is why, for our listeners, Bruno is our in-house expert when it comes to everything racing, because I know Jack Baloney. So
that's right. Well. So, I mean, for those of you who don't know, it's basically it was a competitor to, I would say, Forza Motorsport or Gran Turismo. But there has been a strong push towards the modding community with that game, allowing it, because I think it runs like a lot of it's like Python. And so it's really easy and accessible for like people who are beginner coders to kind of like get in there and mod something, which is really awesome. But if I'm not playing that, then I'm browsing the Xbox Game Pass store, which, guys, what is it, Deathloop just dropped today on Xbox Game Pass. So if you've got Game Pass, head on over there to the Game Pass store and check out Deathloop. It was the PS exclusive that is now over, which I gotta say, I don't know what
is that even a thing anymore. PS exclusive.
Apparently is. Yeah, apparently it still is.
Okay.
They're still holding on to something out there. And we'll get to that in a little bit, but we
should do a quick poll though, Nick, for the listeners. We should say, if you've never heard of Assetto Corsa and someone asks you what it is, would you think it's a candy or B, a car model? And let's see, let's see what the people think is a better creative line.
Survey says, right? Already got a poll rolling there, but that would be another good one. And I'll tell you guys.
Let us know in the chat, people. Let us know. Are we crazy?
What do you think an Assetto Corsa is? I don't. It's a Pokemon for all I know. These days. Okay, guys. Well, I'll tell you, Bruno's chasing cars and racing games, and we're chasing wins in Fortnite and Fall Guys. But the real place to get your chase on is right now in the Winner Winner Live arcade app. That's right, the newest game in the Winner Winner lineup has arrived, and it's called Treasure Chase. Navigate perilous waters and a fortified island in your biplane and scoop up all the treasure before you get shot down. And just like all of Winner Winner's amazing digital games, every play you make scores tickets that you can redeem in the Winner's Circle for thousands of prizes, like Squishmallow plushies, a copy of Nintendo Switch Sports, or even a $50 Whole Foods gift card. And if you want to play their live claw machines for prizes, your first win is on the house, 100% free when you download with our link. The promo code, or rather the link is right now in our description of this episode. Or if you use a promo code DALE when recharging your tokens at pay.app.winnerwinner.com, link also in the description, you're going to get a sweet deal with 30% free bonus tokens on your next purchase. How's that working for you? There it is. You still got the tag on that plushie, Bruno. That's a collector's item. He's got token, for those of you that can see.
Heck yeah. I'm gonna go take the tag off of it. It loses odds.
There you go. Brad's got his winner on right there. Look at that. Look at that. He's showing him.
Multitasking,
nice.
Nick. I can talk and play. I can win prizes and talk games. Let's do it.
Let's go. Wow, good for you. I know what you're doing during the podcast. Good stuff. Well, I'm glad you can multitask.
At least when Bruno's on his rants, right? I know I've got at least 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I'm glad that we can multitask here because this is a big story, and a lot of people have been multitasking just the whirlwind of news that has been coming in over the last 48 hours. I mean, if ever there was a place for a stinger, that's going to be it, Bruno, because this story is coming from theringer.com, but I mean, goodness, you can get this story just about anywhere. If video games are in your search algorithm, in your news algorithm, you definitely saw this story. And that is about the GTA 6 leak. Now, for those of you that may be still getting up to speed, oh yeah.
The Grand Theft Hacko?
The Grand Theft of Grand Theft Auto, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying, right? The irony is kind of funny. I'm just saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you, this story is absolutely massive. And the reason I say that is because, I mean, you think about the amount of time, guys, that it's taken for GTA 6 to come out, right? For those of you that have been keeping score, GTA 5 rather, came out in 2013. It's been 8 years, okay, almost 9 years. And the game for GTA 6 still isn't even scheduled for release until tentatively like 2024. So we're looking at like 10 to 11 years until this game comes out. That's the same
GTA
amount of
6?
time. 6, yeah. Yeah, that's what they're saying.
10 more years?
No, like 10 total years.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say Nick.
Oh, that would be.
I'm dead, okay? You got me. I can't wait 10 more years for Grand Theft Auto 6. I can't do it.
I don't think we've got 10 more.
We can't do it. I can't do it. I'm off the franchise at that.
Yeah, but so what I'm saying is that's the same amount of time between GTA 1 and GTA 4 and like the countless number of games that came in between it just to provide a point of comparison when it was just, a game a year is what it basically was as far as the pace was concerned. So the overall gist of the story, and I'll start with kind of the early part of it that a lot of people heard, which was that over the weekend, I think it was like Saturday, there was a user online that just posted a bunch of videos. It was like 90 some videos and files saying, hey, here's footage of GTA 6. Showing a lot of the things that we had already confirmed via leaks or rumors. And I'm talking about the fact that it takes place in Vice City, the fact that it has a female protagonist, the fact that it has multiple main characters. They're showing up on this footage.
That's crazy.
But even then, it is crazy. What's crazier, though, is that a lot of people were kind of diffusing it by saying, well, there's no proof. This looks like a mod of GTA 5 as far as we're concerned. There's no, the proof's in the pudding. Where is it? Well, then GTA, Rockstar themselves and Take-Two come out and say, yeah, that was GTA 6, and we're not happy about it. So we did get confirmation that this leak was 100% tried and true. And I think it was dated back to 2019, so it's not even recent footage. But nonetheless, it has, and every time there was the tiniest bit of news, rumors, speculation, even on this podcast, we were talking about it because it makes waves. People cannot wait for the next GTA. So, I mean, Brad, when you heard about this over the weekend, because you were the first one in our group to actually see it, you caught it early. I guess you were at a different time zone. You were like, GTA 6 leak, boys. I said, here we go. Here we go. What was your take, man? Like, how did you react to this?
I mean, it's just kind of one of those where it adds another layer of just like frustration to this, right? I mean, you talked about the timeline between the different, iterations, right? Between 1 and 4 and 5, and now the long waiting period for 6, and then this game footage gets leaked and all this information. And, I think I was more interested in the response from Rockstar, right? I mean, it happens, right? How do you do damage control? Can you spin it into something that's positive? Because it, you can, not as much people like to say any publicity is good publicity. This is not good, right? I mean, this obviously is leaking things for fans to see. It can create either excitement or disappointment depending on what people think of what was leaked, right? At this point in this long of a waiting period, were people impressed with what they saw? Were they disappointed? I mean, it creates a social PR nightmare for Rockstar to manage to say, okay, yeah, hey, do we try to roll with the punches and spin it into something positive, or do we like try to go after and try to like, bring down the hammer on the so-called person or people who leaked the information? I mean, to me, this is where your lawyers and your PR person get paid a lot of money to make this a positive for you. So, and it seems like there is an indictment out for whoever did this. The FBI is not playing around, right? So, no. Which is really interesting. Usually video game leaks, it's like, oh, it got leaked. There's something that comes out, they spin it, and it kind of moves on. This is taking a whole nother level of, I would say, criminal investigation, which is really interesting. I don't know, Bruno, what do you think?
Well, I'd be interested to know like how it was obtained, and I think that that's really what the investigation is about. I don't think it's really about like somebody maybe hacked into it, because to me it sounds like it was just poorly managed. Yeah. Like there were some things sent over Slack or something like that maybe shouldn't have been, and somebody got a hold of that somehow. Like that's always the key, right? Like how was it obtained? Was it obtained in an ethical manner, or was it unethical? Did you literally hack and take something down that shouldn't have been there, or should have been there, in terms of like firewall or whatever? But it's just like Brad said, it's a bad look. It's a bad look for Grand Theft Auto in general, because now we're, like you said, Nick, we're comparing what we saw versus what we had hoped to see. And, Nick and I had this conversation a couple days ago, basically about how lackluster the footage that we did see was, even if it was from 2019, right? Is that what you said it was, from 2019?
It's mixed footage. I think they said from 2019 to 2021, a fairly early build. But I mean, these days it's I mean, who knows how far along it was. It's fairly early for a game that's been in development. I know Brad's laughing right now, for a game that's been in development for what, 6 years plus?
Well, 6 years plus, yeah. And not only that, I think you really can't take 2020 and 2021 and expand them over 2 years of full development.
Right.
I think you really have to say the last full year of really intense development was 2019. So where they're at 2019 is not too far off from where the game is today, I'm sure, albeit with, better shaders or whatnot. That's not going to be an issue. Any pre-alpha build is going to be dumbed down in terms of graphics so that it loads quicker and can be experienced faster, instead of,
So, but then looking at that then is, where do you think they're at? I mean, like that's the real question, right? Yeah. It's like, how do you respond from this? So it's like, oh no, rocks are coming. We're much further along than that. Like we're ready. Like there needs to be a response that's not just like, we're going to, try to prosecute the culprit of this matter, right? Like you have to defend the development of your game at some point. So I'm asking both of you,
yeah,
how far along does it look now based off of the footage that you saw?
So here's the interesting thing, and I'll kick it over to Nick here in a minute, because I know this is exactly what we talked about earlier, but I think that GTA doesn't have to change too much in terms of the mechanics. It's pretty close to being somewhat perfect in terms of a third-person shooter in the realm of Grand Theft Auto. They've done a great job with that. So we didn't really get to see any game mechanics per se, but the thing that makes Grand Theft Auto is everything else within the world. And we didn't get to see a lot of that. We got to see a lot of the banter between them, but there was no soundtrack that we heard. And that, Nick and I know that is the number one reason why we're excited about any Grand Theft Auto game, is the immersive soundtrack that they hold. And so, amongst that, along with the cars that they're going to have, the list of weapons, I don't think we really got to see a huge library of what the game could potentially have. And so I think that that's good for Rockstar, but it also makes me wonder, Nick, as to what we expect from Grand Theft Auto 6 moving forward, because obviously this is supposed to be, I mean, if the development for this game was 10 some years, the live service portion of it was, for some time, then we can expect Grand Theft Auto 6 to be a live service game for the foreseeable future, I would imagine, right?
I mean, when you're talking about a live service game for GTA 5's online version that has made billions per year, yeah, it's gonna be a live service. Don't worry about that part. It's just a matter of how much effort is being poured into the campaign versus the online mode. Now, what we're seeing here from these leaks are predominantly what we would assume to be the campaign. Of course, in an unfinished state. But I mean, it's you're right, Bruno. I mean, there's only so much that you can innovate. We have reached an apex, I think, in gaming in terms of realism, and we've seen what the best of open world experiences and just AAA gaming in general can provide us. It's hard to crest past that because everything's been tried, everything's been done already. So, and at this point, it really is about just latching on to what's working best, okay, and just continuing to stick with that. I think about, for example, GTA used to be a lot more comical, almost over the top comical. But then Saints Row said, well, we're going to take that and then push it to an extreme. Well, you see what happened with Saints Row, that they continue to try to make things more outrageous, more outlandish, more larger than life. And then this latest reboot really just fell flat because it was just trying almost too hard to be a reboot while also still being that over-the-top style of Saints Row. GTA, though, has kind of gone more in the kind of sort of realistic direction. I mean, for the most part, it is a realistic game in terms of how it handles, how it looks. I think this is the right direction because, I mean, look at as far as the location goes, Vice City is it. We were talking about it before. I did the whole jingle about, GTA 6 being in Vice City again, being in Miami. That's hype because anybody that has experienced Vice City, and especially the people that grew up with Vice City and got to play within the context of the other games that were like it, there was no other game like Vice City. It has left such a lasting impression. We need to revisit that, and not just in the form of a remaster. A lot of people looked at different locations, like, there was a shot there near the beach coastline in one of the starting parts of the island in Vice City. And they noticed, it's definitely supposed to be the same location as the original and the side-by-side. That got me excited because that said, okay, they are going to take some detail into really, really taking just the vibrant neon action of the 80s of Vice City. I think this is more of a modern rendition, though, and really dialing it up to 11. So as far as that goes, I'm excited. But I think you're right, Bruno. The proof lies in how are they going to approach this? How are they going to monetize it? It has to be online. It has to be. Yeah. You can't have a predominantly single player game unless they really want people to stay in that world of GTA Online. And we still don't even know details. This leak really hasn't forced their hand. Now, one thing I will say, and Brad, I'm curious of your take on this, because, I mean, there really was, from an IT standpoint here, from a development standpoint, a pretty big scare. So what the news story was initially saying, this was a very fast-moving story. Before we really got the finer details of this, what we thought was happening was the person essentially that got the game footage, they said, well, hey, I've got the source code for GTA Online. I've got the source code for GTA 6. I'm going to leak the source code for GTA Online, but the source code for GTA 6 I won't leak if Rockstar can persuade me not to. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Send me some of them Bitcoins, and we'll and maybe I'll leak it, maybe I won't. Right. So what ends up happening is people start speculating, and for a while there was a bit of a panic because people thought, okay, if this guy's not bluffing and he releases the source code, here's the important thing to know about source code, because I know it's kind of you have to kind of understand the inside baseball here. The source code is essentially the formula that creates the code that you see in the game. When you download a copy of the game, the source code's not in there. The source code is what the developers have access to that compiles the code that you see in the game that you're playing, right? Essentially, it's the Krabby Patty secret formula as opposed to the actual Krabby Patty that you're consuming. You could reverse engineer it to a certain point, but you don't know every last little detail, right? So that's kind of a good. Of course, I'm going to pull a SpongeBob comparison here, right? Everybody knows SpongeBob. Of course,
That's
got to do it. So if the source code were to get out, especially in its entirety, what that would essentially do is give the hacking community a one-up, a leg up, because now the development team either has to go back and change the source code, which takes a long time. You're talking about rewriting a large portion of the game, or you release it in a state where now hackers are going to have exploits ready on day one that can threaten the economy of an online ecosystem that is supposed to be making their shareholders billions of dollars. There's going to be a problem, right, Brad?
Oh no, you're exactly right, Nick. I think that is like probably that needs to be under the utmost protection, right? I mean, and limited access, right? So if that truly were, and I think it was found that it wasn't, they didn't actually have the source code, correct?
Correct.
Because that would be a major firewall security breach. I mean, to get your hands on that, I mean, that has to be protected and accessed by a limited number of developers within the development team. Like it's a very protected piece of information, of property, right? And you're right, like the implications on the business side of having it being released to the public and what that would look like. I mean, think about how much time there's still going to be between now and when the game is going to be released. And if hackers had that much time to go in and basically have all these things ready to go and have this much time to prepare for release, you'd have to start over. You'd have to almost start from scratch and rebuild that to make sure that you protect the integrity of the game when it's first released. So I think, yes, there was a period of time of a very, very real panic, because I think for any game, I mean, especially this one in particular, we just talked about, Bruno said, like, there's certain things about what make Grand Theft Auto so special, right? And if that now at its core has been compromised, or it's somehow been, can be scrutinized and be taken advantage of, then the game that you guys love near and dear will not be what it was, right? And then all of a sudden now we talk about these live service games that are going to last a long time. That will pop and fizzle within a year, because it'll just be overrun with hackers, and the game itself will lose its respect and integrity within the community. So, I mean, I'm happy for that standpoint that wasn't the case, but it does, you have to wonder, again, we'll find out where it came from, or how they were able to get in and get the information. But, it really gets back to not only, respecting developers, but also, making sure the developers themselves and people around the business understand how to protect what they're developing, because there is this level of everyone wants to peek behind the curtains, right? And some people take extra measures to do so. And I think, especially with a game that's taking so long, there needs to be probably some, I guarantee you there's added security now that there wasn't before.
A lot of meetings on Monday morning. Yeah.
There's that miscellaneous budget that was a part of this project, and all of a sudden it all got sent to IT and security management. So
of course,
the MISC budget is gone now. So per se, and someone's probably going to lose their job. So that's unfortunate. The cutthroat aspect of corporate business and AAA gaming is that someone will pay the price for this fiasco. And the question is how far up the chain does it go?
And I think that raises an interesting question about hacking and modding in general. And I've been talking to Brad about, my favorite Almond Roca Assetto Corsa and how the modding communities really embrace that, so much so that there's even like a separate content manager that houses the entire game. You can launch the game and add and install different mods with that content manager in an easy way. And it hurts no one, right? It hurts no one to do these types of things, to give everybody these types of things. And I think that when you've got a game and you've got such a strong modding community out there, I say give them something like that, a third-party client or plugin, something like Forge, where they can play around with the sandbox of the Grand Theft Auto playground, albeit in single player mode or custom lobbies, and have their own fun with it. I think that more developers need to embrace that in general. I personally feel that that's the one thing that is missing from modern gaming. That
I disagree completely.
Well, let me finish. That's the one thing I feel that's missing from modern gaming, that classic gaming had, which was cheats. The ability to go back and have something like big head mode, paintball mode, golden gun mode, invisibility, invincibility. If you don't think that cheats are an integral part of something like Grand Theft Auto, then you've never played the Grand Theft Auto series, because the whole wanted level system, reducing that, all of that goes within playing the single player campaign. And I think that if you want to foster a replay value in your single player game, then I would say foster the modding community, right? There will always be carrots dangled in front of players to do something in the online mode. So I don't think that modding detracts all that much in terms of what we see from, a player standpoint, single player versus a multiplayer, because just as many people are playing the single player Grand Theft Auto 5 right now with mods that are playing Grand Theft Auto Online. You can chime into just about any stream and probably see one or the other. It's a toss up. So tell me why it's a bad idea, Brad. Why shouldn't we have or foster the modding community?
I'll pass it over to Nick first. It looked like he had something he wanted to say before I go on my tangent.
I was just interested in that was a bold statement. No, please, by all means. What is your rebuttal?
We're waiting on.
Well, it begs the question, though. You open it up. If you open everything up to modding, at what point does the game lose its integrity? Right? Like, the developers and the companies have a vision for what they believe the game should be. And if you open it up too much to other people meddling in or designing their own version of it, then what's the point of putting out the original at all, right? Why not put out the source code? Why not allow people just to make their own from the beginning? Sell the baseline code and let people make their own versions of every game that they have, so they play it their own way, right? Like, there needs to be some fine line of
if you're selling the source code, you're allowed to then duplicate that and create your own game, so somebody else
that's what I'm saying.
reap the benefits from that. Most of the modding community does this kind of stuff for free. So they're not requesting money to put, a gun that shoots out, cars in the game, or for you to dress up like Hulk and run around Grand Theft Auto. Nobody's charging for that. Like, they're just giving it to you for free.
I hear what you're saying, but like, if you let me finish, like, there's a point at which, like, sure, that doesn't affect the gameplay at all, right? Well, I guess shooting cars might, right? But it's just that it depends on what you're looking for out of the game, right? If you're trying to play it for what it is, and I agree, in Grand Theft Auto, there's a certain way you have to play in order to thrive in that environment, but there's certain mods that make no sense. Like, to me, it detracts from the game. It doesn't add any value.
I think
right?
that's the great thing about the modding community, though, right? I think that mindset that you have is very much a mindset that occurs right now within racing games. Okay, a lot of these, like, for example, I'll use F1 22 as an example. There are certain degradations and crashes that can happen in the game, but the game is never going to evolve to a point where the car breaks into a million pieces and shatters and all that kind of stuff that we realistically see. Why? Not because developers don't want to do it, but because licensors like Ferrari and Red Bull and Mercedes don't want to see the car smashed to bits in video games. They simply don't want to see that. They don't want people to take pictures of it, or to, have that, somebody use it in a negative meme or anything like that. So there are always going to be people that kind of put the kibosh on the fun of video games, I would say, because of licensing or it's not what the developers intended. But I think that when you get to that kind of pompous attitude of like, well, that's not what we intended the game to be, it's kind of like when a celebrity is only recognized for one role. You know, yeah, they're going to be pissed about it for a while, but when they hit about 60 and that's the only money or income they can get, they'll embrace their Urkel. They'll embrace that and make sure that everyone doesn't forget them. Because what's worse, having a community forget you and forget your game entirely, or losing your vision of what the game is supposed to be? And I think that could be asked in, of Halo. Right?
Well,
is their vision being overshadowed by what the community wants? So
why don't you
there's always
you could open it up to modding. You could open up to modding after a certain period of time of the game being out, right? Like not at launch.
I was going to open it up to Nick and have Nick settle it.
There's nothing I love more than when Bruno and Brad just passionately disagree about something. I just love sitting back and watching the fireworks.
Which is so funny because Brad and I are really good friends.
I know.
We just, every time Brad's just like, I'm just going to get Bruno going by disagreeing with him.
Right. He's your Keanu Reeves playing devil's advocate here. I love it.
I see where Bruno's coming from, and I do think at times, but Bruno and I have and that's why we like playing together. We play games and see the value in games differently, right? Bruno is one that loves that. He's been talking about how he's been modding in an Assetto Corsa, and that is really cool. But for me, at what point am I modding it so much that it doesn't feel real? Right, we talk about the degradation of realism, right? And the more you mod it, the more it's deviating away from the mean, deviating away from what it was intended. And I'm okay with that temporarily, or if you want to do that for fun, if it's in a different environment from what was initially built or put out, right? But if we're talking about in this instance where GTA could be, the integrity of the original game could be completely, degraded because of hacks or mods or things because the source code was released or could be released. That's different than having another life of a game that could then be modded and become your own in your own custom game or single player campaign. So I think I agree with you in some context, but at the core, I think there's a very double-edged blade with modding and hacking when it comes to these really high, AAA level, IPs.
That's clear, and that's clear not, and Nick knows this too. That's clear not just with Grand Theft Auto, but with any game. I mean, the amount of aim bots and wall hack cheats that you can download on sometimes day one for these games, if not shortly after, can completely derail the entire live service system, like it did with Battlefield, where people literally just decided, no, people are cheating and it's not fun.
Yeah. Well, okay, but there's a difference between an aimbot or a wall hack that's literally breaking the game and making it unfun for others, right? And
versus
having
one
a
that's
mod
the economy,
where you're just turning a dragon in Skyrim into Thomas the Tank Engine, right? Or making Macho Man
That's
Randy
fun.
Savage say, "Oh yeah," every time you swing an axe, that. There's a difference in terms of the severity of how you modify the intended use of a game.
And I'll tell you why people don't like that, or why stakeholders don't like that, because they want to monetize that. They would want to turn those mods into money, right?
Some have figured it out, Brad. So okay, let's go on. I got a list here. Yeah, I've got it. Well, in a way, in a sense, right?
Yeah.
You do. You have some games that literally have modes that say, "Here's a sandbox. Do whatever you want." Right? Fortnite does that very well. Minecraft does that very well. Even lesser known kind of creator sandbox style, make your own all in one game things where you can basically own a programming language. Gary's Mod, Crata is another one that a lot of people haven't heard of that is very much in this space. But I think one of the best examples of a game that really wasn't intentionally designed to be modified, but then the developers figured out how to monetize it, Skyrim, right? I mean, it's been out for a very, very long time, over a decade or so now. And initially, when the game came out, people did mods, but in a way that was kind of a third party, reinstall, move files around, that kind of thing. But then what ends up happening is the game becomes so popular, right? Skyrim is such a classic, timeless RPG and it's been so long. I mean, we're still waiting on the next Elder Scrolls, right? So just like GTA, who knows when that's coming out? That could be even longer. They won't even give a date. And if Todd Howard won't talk about it, it's a far way away. So what ends up happening is they say, okay, yeah, well, we need to find a way to monetize this. So they created a system where there's an official mod section that you can pay that essentially takes other people's creations and finds a way to charge for it. I don't know the actual minutia of how it works, but it's working for them because Skyrim is in the top 25
minutia. That's a $6 word.
Thank you. Every now and then I break out the fun ones, The New York Times crossword pays off every now and then. But I think that's a good example where, you're right. You can put so many mods in that game that it just gets comical. And I'll tell you, Brad, you'd be a great employee at Nintendo because if there's one company that will hunt you down if you mod their game in a way that is publicly available, look no further. I mean, some of the most well-known Pokemon ROM hacks that circulated for a while there. There was that whole online where you could play Mario 64 online with other people, a remade version. And as soon as it went viral, the cease and desist was on their desk on the following Monday. You know what I mean? But
you see why those IPs, the integrity of those IPs are at utmost importance for Nintendo's foundation and success, right? You don't want to have just like Bruno said about having an F1 crash and shattering into pieces. Granted, they would never design that. Nintendo doesn't want Mario in a compromising position in a screenshot because of a mod, right? Or they don't want, Ash or Pikachu doing something that it shouldn't be doing in a mod, right?
That's a big one.
So there's just things that there's a balance, right? I think what we're getting at is maybe, there can be two lives now, a dual peak approach to gaming game life. You have that first wave of the initial release, the initial concept, the game, the campaign, whatever online service, and then kind of in parallel, but maybe slightly after, you provide that avenue for customization, modding, and I think gamers and gaming development companies should create their own platform, like you said, like Forge or these other examples. Fortnite has the creator mode, where you have your own in-game world per se to do that rather than it being independently or third party done. And then there's a balance between people having their creativity shown in a game that's controlled, along with there being, a little bit of that protection at a base level for these titles, these characters, and for these companies, because it does get back to the business. It's all about generating revenue and the image of the company and the games they put out. And so there's got to be some type of control there.
I hear you. And I really want to get to our viewer comments here because we've had a lot of great comments here in the live chat while we're recording the podcast. But first of all, I got to tell you one place where you can mod as much as you want, and that is our Patreon. I'm talking about patreon.com/quitthebuild. Tiers are as low as $2 per month, and thank you so much to our QTB Plus supporters. I'm talking about our QTB and Fuego supporters like Epic Capture Productions, Matt.Bat, and Alexa, and our QTB Plus supporters Nick, the Dudus Monk, Indie Gamiacs, Alan Abadessa, Mr. Grove Games, the Intergalactic Pinecone, Fluffy Bunny, and Kawaii Potato. If you would like a shout out on each and every episode, tiers start as low as $5 a month for the shout outs, and you get exclusive merch that you can't find anywhere else. QTB stickers, mugs, posters, you name it. Lots of really cool stuff, and it's a great and direct way to support the content that you love right here on Quit the Build. And all tiers get early access to our full edited video podcast. You get the pre-show, you get the pre-show. It's a lot of fun there, I gotta tell you. And the QTB Nostalgia Vault, dozens and dozens of hours of bonus content, talking about the content you know and love. Check it out today. Thank you so much for your support. Man, I'm selling it. I'm selling it today, guys.
No, Bruno was selling it in the background with his dance moves.
If you're not watching the podcast on YouTube or Spotify, you're missing out. Like when I'm doing the sponsor reads, this guy is he's the silent hype man. Honestly, you wouldn't believe the things you're seeing over here. The dance moves, the props, only podcasts are props. I've confirmed that. I've looked around. We really are the only one.
He's the hype mime. That's what he is, because he doesn't make any noise, but he knows how to move. Can we get that on a shirt? Like hype mime, you know what I mean? Like
he'll figure out he's muted eventually. Wait for it.
I got it. Don't worry.
It kind of played into the bit, honestly.
Yeah, you know. I did that on purpose.
Exactly. Well, guys, I would love to get to our viewer comments because we have a lot of people talking about this, and I kind of figured that this story would be sufficient for the whole day because, I mean, honestly, for a while, people were like, "Oh my gosh, this might be the story of the decade," and even though we're finding out more and more that it's really not as much as we thought it was. Especially now, I'll tell you that they believe it was like a 16-year-old kid that like did this leak from the UK. Some people are saying. And the FBI, Rockstar's already working with them to hunt this kid down. So, like, I mean, this kid, talk about an easy way to earn a 5-star wanted level in real life. Just leak GTA 6 and then put up a ransom for the source code to not get leaked. And here you go. We're gonna, yeah, busted.
That's respect right there.
Respect up. Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. Well, I'd love to go to our comments here. First of all, thank you for the super chat there from Caitlin, a.k.a. the Corn Queen, one of our regulars there on the Fall Guys streams. Let's see. So first of all, we have a great comment here from Caviar saying that they think that GTA should enforce modding. Sometimes when games become boring, only mods can make it more fun. And like Brad, you had said, you know, it might be beneficial for a game at least to start as a vanilla version, if you will, right? And then over time, find way to incorporate mods in a public and safe space. Because let's be honest, when you're going onto a mod website, right, and downloading whatever files may or may not be, you know, you gotta really hope that someone isn't out for you. There is a level of safety there. You know, it's like torrenting videos, that kind of thing. Where, you know, there's a risk to what you're doing if you're not careful, even if you are careful. So I think that point is valid, that it's not even necessarily about the restricting content so much as it is about looking out for the safety of the people playing your game, right?
Oh, exactly. You don't take candy from a stranger, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, when you first have ice cream as a kid, you have vanilla. And then as you get older, you try with sprinkles, with chocolate syrup. You try it with, you know, chocolate ice cream, strawberry, you know, banana split. I mean, you start to, as you experience it more and more, then it can evolve. But I think you're right. And I think it's a really good comment that, you know, moderating or exploring kind of the mod content and managing that a bit is I think a fair or a proposed compromise.
Yeah. And we got Caitlin agreeing with you, Brad. So, I mean, look, it's, you know, we got a whole range of opinions. This is a hot topic, right? You know, to mod or not to mod? That is the question. And Bruno's just going to play passive-aggressive soundboard sounds for the rest of the stream.
No, but, you know, that just shows you that there's a passionate community that really, you know, can embrace and see. And I think we can really represent different points of view on this podcast. And that's the hope, right? Is that we all can game together, be positive, have a great time, but also share different viewpoints about, and we want to foster and better the gaming community. And I think that's really what this is, a great example of a topic where we can share different points of view and then, you know, get off and go play some video games, right?
And I think the examples that we've used to have been very pertinent to our point of view. You know, I'm talking about mods for Grand Theft Auto, which already is kind of loosely based on realism, right? They're not trying too hard to center themselves in, you know, realism with flying motorcycles and cars and whatnot. So you know, that or you know, in terms of like, you know, racing games, you know, everybody wants different cars added to the game or different tracks. And so I think those two things are great, but you're right. You take something like Mario and let the modding community have at it. It's going to tarnish the brand, which is very family friendly, kid friendly. And that's the last thing they want, right? You don't want, you know, Peppa Pig doing dirty things, you know, online or anything like that. And, you know, I think about all the amount of times that Disney has to take down stuff, right? Like you can only imagine some of the things that artists out there choose to do. And so the modding community is no different in that respect. They have no respect when it comes to the integrity of a game. So, you know, that can be, you're right, Brad, that can be a very double-edged sword. And like we said before, if you start to take those things online and ruin the experience for other people, then that's a problem. Like that's an issue because it's ruining. It's one thing to change the single player and change your experience. It's another thing to change everyone else's experience on behalf of you. So that's definitely not cool.
And there's kind of a comparison to be made between the single player experience that stops getting supported after a while, or the live service game that is always changing and there's always something new to hop in and experience.
Agreed.
GTA does both, right? But I think Caitlin actually makes a great point here. One of her comments was that just like Animal Crossing New Horizon, right? The game came out super popular, everybody was playing it. And then, 1 year went around where you got to see all the seasons, you got to see all the things the game had to offer. And then it was just the same game repeating all over again, right? There's very, very few new, I think they already said that the last content update's already been put out, right? We're not going to see anything new and major. So that's kind of when it comes to the point where now the modding community is like, well, if we want to continue our fandom, we really need something else to play other than this stock game that we know is never going to get updated. And so that's when you start to see people step up and be like, okay, well, we're gonna add content, we're gonna add in new characters or things and abilities to play the game in different ways, and in ways that can help take IPs that have been long dormant or popular games that have been long dormant and revive them. Nintendo,
it's kind of that dual strategy I was talking about, right? Let it mature on its own, and then once it reaches that end state of its natural cycle, then open it up, let people have fun with it, because it's people who have wanted to play and see it through have done so, and you're not ruining that initial experience. So I think you're right, Nick. I think that makes sense, and then if these companies want to open that up and have some control, then now you are monetizing it for another 5 years. I mean, and I'm not trying to make people pay more for an experience, but that way you're guaranteed some level of security that what you're downloading is legit, right? And you're not just I don't know. I would see it that way. Go ahead, Bruno.
I think one of the things that will be the real test of this kind of theory, it will be Halo. Halo with Forge, right? Like Halo launched without Forge, which the previous games, were updated shortly after to include it or launched with it. And it's a big win for the Halo community in general. I think that if we see a shift back to popularity with Halo because of Forge, then it will be definitive proof that opening that door or that platform to modding in some capacity, even if it's within the confines of the game, really helps drive the player base back to it, because it opens the door for playing the game how you want to play it, right?
Here's my hot take, though. Secretly, I don't think 343 wants to release Forge because they don't want to see people do it better than they have done it. I think there's almost a remorseful aspect to that, right? Like they're afraid that once they drop the Forge maps, that people are going to flock back to it, and you're going to see a huge player base increase, and people are going to be like, "Wow, the mods are so much better than the original development," right? Like that's the other side of the coin of that, right? Like. And so I could see their hesitancy in wanting to do that, even though that's probably best for the long-term, I would say, value or for the platform. I could see there be people on the inside thinking it's a really poor decision because it's going to reflect negatively on the original development of the game.
What an awful mindset to have in 2022, though.
Really.
You're right. Like, there's definitely developers and people that created IPs that this is mine, you can't have it. Like, only I can do this, right? And for some people, it's a monetary thing, like EA and its exclusivity with the NFL. And you look at what Madden is now. It's just these annual releases are broken messes. But you also have also there are groups out there I think about Super Mario Maker. It's a good example of it's a video game that it creates its own kind of closed ecosystem of okay, if you want to make your own levels, if you want to you can make them, but you have to play by our rules, right? If you want to upload that level, it has to meet certain criteria. We're going to moderate it if something inappropriate's in there. Or what I love about it is if you want to upload the level, you got to beat the level. Once you create the level, before you can upload a level in Super Mario Maker, they say, you know what? Show us how to beat it. Get to the finish line in one try, and then you can upload this level and let other people play it. That's an important aspect of, I think, of modding, and the result of that is you get players that, Brad, they outdo the developers because they have the spare time. Devs aren't just making maps; they're doing a million things. There's lots of little tiny pieces that go into it. So there are people that have that vision. And I think about games like, was it Disney Infinity? While that service has been shut down, it had a very open world style, like program and how you want to make your own world style thing. And a lot of the top creators in that, even though Disney Infinity were shuttered, were offered jobs by Disney to code for them on future Disney titles.
Oh yeah.
So the smart studios that are humble are seeing them. That. Yeah, are seeing the talent and being like, of course, like get in here. Like, knowing what you don't know and being humble and being willing to learn from others, because it seems like as Sonic is one of the best, and even Halo, I think Sonic and Halo are two great examples where the fans.
Halo has had.
Yeah. There's a Roblox version of Halo that's better than Halo Infinite. I hate to tell you this.
They have the Halo community, just for the devs at 343 have embraced the Forge community previously, in terms of taking some of their maps and turning them into rotated maps within the game. So I honestly think it might be the opposite, Brad, of your thought process. I think they are in a rush to get Forge out because I think they see that as their saving grace, that they don't have the time to obviously
what are they doing?
They can't.
What are they doing?
Exactly. Well, obviously they can't. They're fixing something or working internally, but it's not making maps with two maps per however long. They're not making maps, so they really want the Forge community to step up to the plate here and make Halo great again, as it were, right? Like really take it to the streets and
I see a merch opportunity.
Please don't.
That's right.
We'll make it green. It's a green hat.
Cool gamer and make Halo great again.
Oh yeah, yeah. Do that to all the work I've done on #CoolGamer. Do that.
All right, audience. Who would buy a shirt if it said "Make Halo Great Again"? I know people would buy that. That's a winner. That's an instant win.
There you go. Diamond
I'll buy it. I'll buy it. Unlock an achievement in real life.
Well, if Brad's gonna buy it, then we have to do it. My gosh. Okay. There we go.
You heard it here first. Marketing department. Let's get on this.
Yeah. And we have Caviar saying Team Fortress is an example of modding being more helpful than development. Well, yeah. I mean, they pretty much abandoned they pretty much abandoned all anything with in terms of Valve actually producing games. So even though Team Fortress 2 is so popular to this day, yeah, it's either play modified content or or just don't play. Like there's not a whole lot else to experience now in Team Fortress 2. Hasn't been a meaningful update in years. But in any case, guys, really great conversation. I kind of like how this kind of pivoted from a GTA 6 strict discussion to really getting into kind of the caveats of the pros and cons of modding, and great comments from our viewers as well. Love it so much,
really
everybody.
Good comments.
Thank you for
we love the dialogue. Yeah, it really
love the
helps,
conversation happen in chat. Yeah. And so hey, and we want to keep that dialogue going. So as always, everybody. And first of all, I want to say thank you. Special shout out to Pierce Unlimited for making this podcast possible. For marketing media that works and bespoke design to power your business, visit pierceunlimited.com. Yes, there you go. Make sure, guys, stop by our website because that is your one-stop shop for all things QTB. It is quitthebuild.com. That is where you can link up with our socials. You can link up with our amazing blog. Lots of new articles. One there from Bruno about great one about Sony and just the direction they've been going in lately, and have they lost their way? Have they lost their vision? Great write-up from kind of someone that's been, been very critical of Sony, and rightfully so. And, there's things to criticize about all the big players right now in the gaming industry, and lots of great other blog articles to come as well. So check that out. Check out the merch page. Make sure to get yourself a t-shirt, get yourself a pillow, pop socket, get you that swag. That's Squad Swag, and of course, There you go. Head on to our Discord. You can get there from the main page. Just scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, and the link to join Discord is right there. We got memes, we got conversations, and we got Terry, not necessarily in that order. Yep.
All the minutia of Discord.
The minutia. Brad's going to be using that word all week at work. You're going to be the smartest guy in the room. Absolutely.
You know, it's like a $7 word, man. It's a hefty word. Spell
You
it.
could get
It's so crazy you don't even know how to spell it.
You get a $6 burger with that $7 word.
Whoa. I don't know these days. You ask for some sauce.
Would you believe there's an E in that word? I didn't know that until I looked it up.
There's a lot of vowels in that word you might not think of.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
It kind of spans the test of time. I think we're just missing an O.
Exactly. All right, everybody. Well, I think that's going to about wrap it up here for the QTB podcast. Bruno, take us out of here.
Okay. Well, here's the thing that's...
Ooh.
You don't even know what that is. Do you?
Futuristic. Welcome to the future of QTB.
Welcome to the news channel on the Nintendo 3DS.
Yeah. That's an underrated gem.
Exactly. For Nick and Brad, I'm Bruno.
For Bruno and Brad, I'm Nick.
For Bruno, Nick, and Minutia, I'm Brad.
Peace out. What a deal.
Quit the Build.